What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers, and welcome to Stat Diggers for UFC Vegas 100. What a milestone! 100 Apex cards. I mean, that's kind of wild, but yeah, I think it's a 13 fight card and pretty good card. Looking forward to it. An interesting main event. We got Practice going against Magny, and of course, we are here on a Sunday. We are never late. Never. Not even today when we're starting the stream at 8:24 p.m. Eastern time, just never late. So I'm here as always with Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, what is up? Are you looking forward to the historic UFC Vegas 100?
Yeah, I mean, there's been 100 of them. Hopefully, we get 1,000 more, Brady. Not in front of fans. But I could do without the Apex for Saturday cards, but it is what it is. And this isn't a bad card at all. When I was looking through the matchmaking here, there's some really interesting ones. Zaleski dos Santos, Nick Dalby rematch. That was a fun fight many years ago, and it's a fun fight today. You got the return of Bernardo Sopai after a long time away from the cage, after that brutal knockout. We got the debut of RDR, we'll just call him, Rainier de Ritter. And and then Chicago's very own Brady, Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radtke on this card. I'm pretty fired up for it. And Cortavius Ramius, yes. friend of the show, So yeah, man, I'm really happy about this one. We get an event, a main event with Carlos Prates. It's very rare you see high level athletes smoking with cigarettes, and Carlos is one of those high level athletes who's smoking with cigarettes. So let's get this show going here.
Let's do it. So we're gonna recap last night, which was it was a card. It certainly was a card, and I like to do the polls on YouTube. I see some comments in the chat. Some people are talking about Barrio, people are talking about Malott. I think we did this a couple weeks ago. I want to see who needs the most help, because last night I think there were a couple fighters, Weezy, that just need some serious help. So I think we could put Mike Malott on there. He needs help. Marc-Andre Barrio, he definitely needs help. Who else needs help?
Let's see. Ariane da Silva needs to get a divorce and go back to being Ariane Lipski, because the Lipski that was fighting Gatto and Aldrich, like that one could stop takedowns. This Ariane da Silva that fought Karina Silva and fought Jasmine, she can't stop takedowns. So I think she could use some help.
Is it Da Silva or De Silva?
D-A, and then space Silva.
Okay, so that's 3. We need one more.
We need one more. And how about the judges in the Garrett Armfield fight?
Well, the judges always need help. Let's.
Yeah. That's Amir Albazi.
Yes,
but Amir Albazi needs some help, dude.
Even Trevin Giles needs help, though. Oh my gosh, there's so many options.
Yeah, he did just a little bit less than Malott, who didn't do much.
We'll put Albazi there. We'll put him there because he got 50-45. All right, so everybody in the chat, we already know Nascimento needs help. Come on, that guy needs help. So we got Mike Malott, Marc-Andre Barrio, Ariane da Silva, and we have Amir Albazi. I will start the poll, and let's let the chat decide. Let's let the chat decide who needs help. Me personally, and I'll let you decide as well. I mean, it's not a question. I think, I mean, it's tough. It's between Marc-Andre or proper Mike Malott. I'd say Malott for me personally, but I think the chat might be going for Barrio here. How about you, Weezy? What are you thinking?
Dude, it's got to be Barrio. If you're getting knocked out by Dustin Stoltzfus, it's time to have that, well, I think alcoholics call it the moment of clarity, it's when you hit rock bottom. You remember the look on Khalil Roundtree's face when the decision of the Pragnio fight was being read, and that look on his face, like, I dropped the ball. That's what Barrio did. And, in all seriousness, he was coming back 4 months after a brutal knockout at the hands of Body Bags Pfeiffer. And I think it changed him a little bit. He got back up after getting a kick caught. He kind of like really just put the gas all the way to the floor, all offense, no defense, and he got clipped. He needs a year off. And in that year off, he's going to need some mental help, because whatever kind of therapy you need to get after you lose to Dustin Stoltz
Ow, you made me hurt my tooth on my cup. Ow. Ow.
No, he's gonna need a therapist. You're gonna need a dentist. It's the kind of thing that can really change your career, Brady. Who are the other guys who lost to him? Remember the look on Puna's face when he lost to Stoltzfus? You remember the look on Dwight Grant's face when he lost to Stoltzfus? So yeah, man, I think that I think Mark Barrio is going to need some help, and I think in all seriousness, he needs to take some time off and let that chin rest up, because it's been cheaty now, and then it was a brutal one by Pfeiffer, and then you get knocked out by Stoltzfus. So it's time to have the talk with the family, see what direction you go in life from here.
I almost got knocked out by this mason jar. I mean, this mason jar is dangerous. What's more dangerous, Weezy, this mason jar or Mike Malott? I don't know.
Yeah, the mason jar, you could break it, take a shard, and just cut somebody's neck, So yeah, it's pretty dangerous, dude. It's pretty dangerous. Mallett's really kind of taken his foot off the gas over the last two fights versus Magny, and then this one.
So let's end the poll here. So in first place is Marc-Andre Barry with 56% of votes.
Yeah.
In second place is proper Mike Malott with 27% of votes. Third place is Ariana Da Silva Lipsky, 9%, and then Amir Albazi, 9%. So looks like Marc-Andre Barrio is the winner of the Stat Diggers Get Some Help section of the show.
Yeah, and I need to get some help because I had 3 units on Barrio's money line, and that didn't go well for your Uncle Weezy, Brady. It did not go well.
No, I had 2 units on him, and it definitely hurt. But I do want to shout out the sponsor of the show, and that is none other than Avery Marino. He sponsored like the next couple Stat Digger shows, and Weezy, he's back again. He's back again. Last week he asked us, who are both your most confident picks? Let's put together a 2-leg parlay. I said Cody Gibson. He looks minus 10,000. You said Brandon Moreno. He looks minus 10,000. We got a lot wrong last time.
We sure did.
But one thing's for damn sure. We hit the Stat Diggers parlay for our guy, Avery. What is up? He says, let's get another banger episode going, fellas. MAB caused me to lose my house and car. No, Avery, no. No. Avery.
But that McDonald's Wi-Fi is actually very reliable.
Yeah,
and if I know Avery, he is he's a fighter. He's the kind of guy that can come back from this. We're all going to come back from UFC Edmonton. I took a rinsing. Brady took a rinsing. Poor Avery's in a tent at McDonald's Wi-Fi, but hey, we're going to come back from this because we're strong people. And strong men, Brady, strong men also cry, and I had a good cry last night, but this time it's going to be the bookies crying this week. UFC Vegas 100.
So last night I put out a tweet. I said, and I quote, just smashed my TV in front of 30 guests at my party because of this card. My wife just took our crying kids and said they're all spending the week at a hotel. UFC Edmonton has ruined my life and my party. I can't handle this anymore. Got 32,000 views. And it's obviously a joke, but people were hitting me up like, dude, go take care of your wife and kids. That's your main priority. It's like,
people were hitting me up asking if you were okay.
Oh, obviously I wasn't okay, but I wasn't smashing my TV in front of 30 guests at a party. Oh, yes, guys, I'm fine. I only have one kid. It was just a joke, just a joke. But yeah, that was funny. That was very funny. We got a couple more donos. Appreciate you guys. It is, where is it? Oh, there it is. We got Sped MMA Enjoyer saying it gets some help. Kyle Machado, yeah, that guy needs help. 0-3 in the UFC. Did cut down to light heavyweight. Looked good on the scale. I didn't watch the fight. Did you watch the fight?
Yes.
How'd he look?
Yeah. Oh no, wait, dude. I started drinking after Barrio got slept. I had like this 20-ounce can of an IPA that was like 9% alcohol by volume, and I was just hoisting that up, and then I laid down on the couch, and the next thing I know, it's round 4 of the Namajunas Blanchfield fights, dude. So actually, I missed the second half of the Machado Ribeiro fight. Are you frozen? Are you all right?
Sorry, I was doing a Trevin Giles impression.
Oh,
so,
yeah, no, that was spot on, dude.
Yeah,
that was spot on.
Yeah, he needed some backup last night. I mean, I don't know what the heck's going on, but we got the Dogfather. Shout out to my guy, Dogfather, donating some of my many Dustin Stoltzfus winnings. I did not see anybody on Dustin Stoltzfus besides the Dogfather, so he was kind of on an island there. A lot of people got hurt by that, and Dogfather was all over. So shout out to him. That was a big giant cash, big giant number. And shout out to our guy, the sponsor of the show, Avery Marino, with a 99.99 absolute heat from Weeze and DFS on Gibson and Moreno play. It enabled me to get the tent and the McDonald's budget. Yeah, McDonald's isn't too cheap anymore. At the end of the show, let's get another even money 2-legger to get the fellas up. The nephew Avery Shiesty 2-legger. Let's do it. Let's do it. And Weezy, I will ship you some cash from our guy Avery. Right.
Yeah, make sure you account for what Google's going to take of that. You know,
so send you nothing then.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just kidding. It's just a joke.
I owe you $3.
It's just a joke. Google, don't take away my channel. All right, what else we got? Okay, so let's do a quick recap of last night. Weezy, I'll let you kick it off. I will try to not have a mental breakdown. Go ahead, Weezy.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a couple of good bets and I had some really bad bets. So I finished down 2.14 units. It was like a negative 18% return on investment. We'll start with the good bets. Brandon Moreno, 3-unit bet at minus 161 cashes. Yusuf Zalal to win by submission at plus 900 cashes for a half unit. So got 4.5 unit win on the Zalal submission, got a 1.86 unit win on the Brandon Moreno money line bet. And then I had 2 prop bets that were good bets, but they just didn't cash. Rose Namajunas to win by decision. Could have went either way. That 4th round was close. It could have been scored for Rose, could have been scored for Aaron. It went Aaron's way, but I had 1 unit on Rose to win by decision at plus 185. So feel like I got my money in there. It was kind of a coin flip fight, and it just didn't go my way. And then I also had fight ends by sub for Anheliger versus Gibson, which was torture to watch a fight ends by sub there, because I mean Gibson was so close so many times, and Anheliger just would not quit. He wouldn't quit. He wouldn't go away, and there were so many spots that I thought I was going to catch that bet. So those were good bets that didn't cash. And then let's get to the several bad bets that didn't cash. Pedro Munoz money line plus 130. Not the worst price. Fairly close fight, but you know, he kind of clearly lost the fairly close fight. 3-unit bet on Marc-Andre Barrio. That was Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And yeah, all it did was shave the ass of the people who chose to believe in me. So that one did not work well either. And then Ariane Lipsky, I had a 1-unit bet on her money line at plus 190. And I had a 1.5 unit bet on her plus 3.5 points handicap. And after she won the first round, I was kind of like counting my money on that plus 3.5 points handicap, because I really didn't think that Jasmine was going to be able to finish her. But she was just a fish on the ground, and the takedown defense was dog shit. So she's definitely taken some steps back from when she was fighting Gatto and Aldrich and the other one that she got the win on where she was a pretty sizable underdog. So yeah, it was down 2.14 units. If either the Blanchfield Namajunas decision would have went my way, or if Anheliger Gibson would have ended by sub, it would have been an up night. But really, you know, I wasn't happy with it. 3 of my 4 money line bets not only didn't cash, but they were bad bets. And the De Silva plus 3.5 points handicap, bad bet. But the Zalal submission really bailed me out. So at least it wasn't a complete and total rinsing, but it wasn't, it was a bad week of reads, bad week of bets, and I paid for it.
Yeah, it was probably my worst read since like the Atlantic City card. I mean, I'll never forget that Atlantic City card. I mean, it was so bad. So bad. So bad. But let's get into my recap. It didn't have much on the prelims. I as well had the fight ends by submission, and it's an every week thing, Wheezy. Like just this year, it's just been bad beat after bad beat. Like I feel like I'm so close every single week on these. Had the fight ends by sub plus 420. Like what more do you need? What more do you need there? At plus 420, Cody Gibson with like over 12 minutes control time, multiple submission attempts, multiple deep submission attempts as well. I'm just it's so annoying. Like I just get so close. It's like when you're having sex and you can't come, and it's like you're so close, but you just can't do it. Yeah, I mean if man, I just feel like it's every week, like last week or the week before was Charles Johnson KO 2 or round 2. Christian Rodriguez round 3. What was the other? I mean, there's just been so many this year where it's like so close. So that hurt. I knew right then and there it was just going to be a waxing type of night. The judges were awful as well. After that, I had a plus 3.5 point spread parlay that actually went 0-2. Victor Henry submitted Charles Jourdain. I was not expecting that. And then some weird stuff went on with the line movement in the Munoz fight. Zahabi went up to like minus 200, which was really weird to me, but ended up winning that fight 29-28 times 2 and then a 30-27. So that plus 3.5 didn't even hit, which I thought was a great look. But I think Munoz might have been injured or something. Didn't throw any leg kicks. Just really, really weird. What? All right. And then, oh gosh. And then this was gonna make or break my night here. I mean, I had the Mike Malott, Trevin Giles fight doesn't go to decision. We talked about it. It's like if this was like last year, this would be minus 350, minus 400.
Yeah.
It was minus 200. Mike Malott, 100% finish rate in his wins, 100% finish rate in his losses. Trevin Giles, like 6 finish losses. All 8 losses have finished inside the distance. How does this fight go the distance? And it's the least violent fight on the entire card. I mean, it's crazy to me. Both guys did not want to be there. And it's so funny. Like I was listening to Mike Malott's interview, and the whole time he's like, yeah, I've been working my ass off these past 8 months. I fixed all these holes. And he was like, I had a treacherous camp. I put myself through hell. It's like, did you, Mike? Like what? What'd you do the last 8 months? Like what? He was like hyping it up the whole time. He's like, yeah, I worked so hard. Like he kept saying on and on and on. He was like it's the hardest training camp of his life. Yeah, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. He was like, I went to the 7th layer of hell. Like what? Did you, Mike? Did you go to the 7th layer of hell in training camp? Because it didn't look like it. Like that was wild to me. As far as I'm concerned, that's a loss. I mean, not finishing Trevin Giles, like that's a loss as far as I'm concerned. And then how about Trevin Giles? Like Giles could have easily won that fight had he had any urgency whatsoever. I mean, Trevin Giles, officer, he's not even an officer to him anymore. He was fighting for his job on a 2-fight skid. He's been finished like 6 times, fighting for your job, and you go in there and you don't do anything. Like I just don't get it. I seriously think if you pulled a random fan out of the crowd last night, a random Canadian, and you gave him 5 minutes to prepare to say, just throw some leg kicks. I think that random fan beats Trevin Giles because that's what Mike Malott did. He just threw some leg kicks. He landed maybe 1 or 2 head strikes the entire 15 minutes. It's just the most bizarre fight I've ever seen. So, yeah, it was a trap. It was a very clear trap, and I fell for the trap. So that hurt. Next, I had the Marc-Andre Barrio. I had the Marc-Andre Barrio and the over 1.5 combination at plus 100, and he gets knocked out by Dustin Stoltzfus. There are 13 fights last night. 13 fights last night. 1 knockout, and that 1 knockout comes again from Dustin Stoltzfus. Like you can't script that, man. You can't. You just can't. Sometimes you just gotta laugh. Like I saw he got knocked out. I was like, okay, really? Dustin Stoltzfus just knocked out Marc-Andre Barrio. And then speaking of bad beats, I had the Jasmine Jazz the Vicious KO2 and KO3, which is funny because I had the Jasmine Jazz the Vicious KO2-3 against Priscilla Cachoeira as well. And Jasmine proceeds to beat the brakes off of Priscilla for 2.5 rounds. The ref doesn't stop the fight, and then she subs her. Here, the KO was looking very live. She was getting the crucifix, and it looks like it was on its way to hitting, and then she submits Ariana Da Silva. Which I was not expecting because we just saw Da Silva go 15 minutes with Karina Silva, who's a very, very good submission artist. So the KO2-3, I thought it was very good, very live. It was like plus 3,300 for round 3, plus 2,500 for round 2. So that would have been nice, but it just goes back to, good bets that don't hit. I think I need a trophy of good bets that don't hit. Here it is. Good bets that don't hit trophy. You like it?
Yeah, I think it's a nice one. Yeah.
It's a nice trophy. It's just sickening, man. Some people were like, why didn't you just bet the 2-3? Usually I would just bet the 2-3 without the method, but there is a significant difference in the KO and just between the KO and the round. It's like the round 3 was plus 1,400, but the round 3 KO was like plus 3,300. And to be honest, I just was not expecting a sub at all. So that hurt, but it is what it is. I had a unit on Rose. I don't hate that bet. She won the first 10 minutes of the fight, and then Blanchfield started to take over. The fight came down to that round 4. Close fight, but yeah, Blanchfield got the nod there, but it is what it is. And then I had a 1.6 unit bet on Brandon Moreno, and that comes through with flying colors. Honestly, we should have just stuck with the Stat Diggers parlay and called it a day.
Dude, that was the best bet of the year. I mean, like Cody Gibson looked. I mean, he just rinsed them. And Brandon Moreno was never in any trouble at any point. It almost kind of looked like he was just kind of coasting. Like I think he realized after 1.5 rounds, Moreno, that like he's like, this guy's got nothing for me. I don't have to put myself in any danger at all. And I can just put the car on cruise control and just let it go. And that's what he did.
Yeah. I never said I gave Rose round 4. I said it all came down to round 4. All came down to round 4.
I gave Rose round 4.
We usually gave Rose round 4. I was barely paying attention to the fights at that point, to be honest. I was just so fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
But, I didn't even watch the Moreno fight for the most part. But yeah, Moreno looked good, 50-45, all that good stuff. So yeah, sounds good to me. So UFC Vegas 100. We have Proches versus Magny. I say we get right into it. And there was a lot more I wanted to say about Mike Malott. And I told Weezy before the show, but I decided to not say those things because
we get emotional, like we can get dramatic, we can get emotional, but we have the responsibility to not let our emotions get the best of us.
But it would have been good. I had a whole proper bit queued up in the head, but some things are meant to be left off stream.
That's for sure.
Yes. All right. Get some help. All right. Let's get into UFC Vegas 100, and we're going to kick it off with Tresean Gore going against Antonio Trocoli. We got Gore, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach. Trocoli, 33 years old, 6'5" with an 82-inch reach. We have Gore, 2 years younger. Trocoli with a 5-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. We have Gore, who's 3. I already said that. Am I fried?
No, I don't think so.
I think I'm fried, man. All right. So anyway, Gore, he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Brian Battle, lost that fight by decision, and then lost to Cody Brundage by knockout, and then submitted Josh Fremd. As far as Trocoli, he is 3-1 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Had a no contest on the Contender Series against Kenneth Burr, and then made his debut against Shara Magomedov, lost that fight by 3rd round knockout. So kind of a weird fight to kick off the card here. Trocoli is kind of a weird fighter in the sense that he hasn't fought much as of late. Of course, he did fight Shara, but prior to that, I think he had like maybe 1 or 2 fights since like 2019, 2020, just very inactive. I'm not sure if he's been, dealing with some injuries or what, but just very, very inactive fighter. He's a grappler, looking to get the fight down to the mat. The striking is not great at all. I think it's probably a good spot for Gore. But the thing about Gore is that he just doesn't do anything. He doesn't throw anything. But when he does throw and let his hands go, he has really good striking. He has a lot of power. He's a BJJ black belt. He has good takedown defense. So I do like Gore. But, I mean, this could end up being close because he just doesn't really let his hands go as much as he should. So I'm kind of leaning Gore. But laying chalk on Tresean Gore is not something I really like doing. Weezy, what are your thoughts on the first fight of the card?
Like what I'm thinking about doing is absolutely nothing. You know, as gamblers who are taking it serious and trying to, you know, make bets based on actionable information, there's virtually none on either of these guys. With Trocoli, you got a juicer, you know, who was suspended for 3 years, I think, or it was at least 2 years for he pissed hot for like anabolic steroids after the Kenneth Berg fight on Dana White's Contender Series. So that's when he had to go back to the regional scene, beat a homeless guy named Resley Menezes, and then he goes in and he fights Shara on short notice, and you know, he hangs around for 2 rounds and then gets violently knocked out in the third. And it was violently knocked out, just like we saw like somebody named Marc-Andre Barrios be violently knocked out 4 months ago and then maybe come back a little bit too soon. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in Antonio Trocoli, but Tresean Gore has 6 professional fights. 6 professional fights, and he's been a pro for 6 years and 6 months. So he's clearly having injury problems, Brady. I mean, like, this guy he can't stay healthy. He can't get to the cage. And yeah, he's 1-2 in the UFC. He looked like he was getting tired in the Fremd fight when he caught that, when Fremd just gave him his neck on a bad takedown attempt. But I don't know, man. Gore looked like he could wrestle a little bit though in the Fremd fight. I liked seeing that, and we know that he's got really good power, but the guy can't counter. He always just kind of shells up when his opponent throws their offense. I like to see people be able to get in that pocket, slip and rip, and land some big shots. That's how you get the respect of your opponent. But he seems to kind of let people just get their offense off. I like Gore here. You know, he's younger. I think he's going to be a lot stronger than this dude. I think he's got a lot more power on the feet, and he probably gets to choose where this fight takes place. But he's on a 1 year and 2 month layoff, Brady. He's got injuries. He's only got 6 professional fights. So, you know, you're either laying juice on a guy that you haven't seen in over a year and 2 months, or you're betting on Antonio Trocoli.
Oh,
it's you know, what do you want? The gas chamber, or you want to get hung? No thanks to either. Let's move on to the next fight. Ass.
Speaking of ass, I think Trocoli's dating Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, something's going on there between those two. I don't know. You know, I'm not on like the MMA TMZ type stuff. You know, I never know who's banging who or whatever. I just know that somebody's taking a rip in some of my bets. That's for sure. You know, that's what happened last week. So we got to make sure that doesn't happen again this week. And step number 1 to make sure that doesn't happen, Brady, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for your Uncle Weezy, it's not betting on this fight.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Yeah. How can you lay chalk on Tresean Gore? He just can't. He just doesn't. He does nothing. But yeah. Antonio Trocoli is dating Mackenzie Dern. He's a winner either way. Yeah, but there was something going on with Trocoli and Dern. I'm not sure if they're still together or what happened, but I did see some TMZ stuff on Twitter. I forget what it was though. Come on, Tim. Come on. Herpes is better than having syphilis. I'll tell you that. What was the fighter? What was the fighter that had syphilis the other? Some fighter had syphilis the other week. No, Dixon said said that.
What did he say? Shara had it.
He said somebody had it. Dixon is like the OnlyFans and syphilis expert. He's like a medical
syphilis whisperer. Dixon Cider, ladies and gentlemen.
It would be Dixon Cider. Get some help, Dixon Cider. Get some help. Moderated their channel, by the way. Moderated. Yes. Heck yeah.
Yeah, herpes is forever. Joel is correct. Syphilis can be curable, but herpes, ladies and gentlemen, herpes is forever.
There you go.
Oh, we're oral buy.
Should I make a poll or should we just move on? No, dude. I'm not gonna do that. We got a lot of fights to talk about. We got some donos. We got Low T City Ortega. Jack Shore gets some help back to 135. I could not agree more. I think he looks so good at bantamweight. Up at featherweight, I just don't think he belongs. We got Yitro with the 279 saying Moreno was an excellent read by all of us. 17% ROI. Yeah, sweat free, like literally. Albazi didn't show up at all. So yeah, Moreno looked incredible. Albazi looked really bad. 50-45 across the board. We got our guy Tony C with the 499 saying sending out some venom to Sal D'Amato, who scored 30-27 for Zahabi over Munoz, when Munoz obviously won round 3 and it cost me my plus 3.5 bet on Pedro. Yeah, I love the Pedro plus 3.5. And Weezy, you saw the third round. I thought Munoz did more, probably deserved the round there. But yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with here. It's these crooked, corrupt judges every week. There were some terrible scorecards last night. Terrible.
Yeah, the 30-27 for City over Armfield. That one had a lot of people tilted. I'm glad I didn't have any money on Armfield, man. I would have been pissed.
I was really close to betting him. Yeah, I thought Armfield like clearly won the fight. Evan saying herpes ain't as bad as they make it out to be. Trust me. Okay, you heard it first from Evan. Herpes is not as bad as they make it out to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, but if you're going to get one of the sexually transmitted diseases, yeah, herpes is probably on the top of your list.
Yeah.
Way better than a lot of those other ones.
Yeah, there's some bad ones out there, man.
There sure are.
There's some bad ones. But yeah, let's move on to the next fight. It is Gaston Bolanos going against Cartavius Ramius. We got Bolanos, 32 years old, 5'7", with a 69-inch reach. Ramius, 30 years old, 5'4", with a 68-inch reach. Ramius is 2 years younger. He's going to be at a 3-inch height disadvantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Bolanos is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Aaron Phillips, won that fight by a very close decision, and then lost to Marcus McGee by knockout in the second round. As far as Ramius, he had a knockout loss on the Contender Series against Tavares, and then he just recently got a decision win on the Contender Series this season against Michael Imperato. So this is a fight where I feel like it all comes down to the path to victory for me. So Bolanos, as many of you may know, he's a really good striker, has some solid power. Looked kind of bad in the McGee fight. He kind of gassed out early on in the fight, kind of got broken in that second round. But McGee is a really good striker in his own right. So yeah, Bolanos, I like the striking. He has a lot of power, a lot of tools on the feet, but it's the ground game that is a serious issue. He's been submitted, I believe, in 2 losses. He was very close to getting submitted a couple times by Aaron Phillips. I was on the sub prop there. Of course, it was really close, but didn't cash. And Ramius is a very, very slick grappler on the mat. Tons of submissions on the record for Ramius. The problem is, will he wrestle or will he not? If he goes out there and strikes with Bolanos like this, I think he could knock him out. I think either guy could get knocked out. But if he takes this fight down to the mat, and if he's able to get on top here, I mean, he should make this look very easy. Like Aaron Phillips was able to get into very dominant positions, was able to get into mount easily, take the back. So yeah, if Ramius gets on top, I think he makes it look easy. But the question is he going to go out there and wrestle? So I think he has big favorite upside, but I'm not sure I can trust him. Went and watched a good few of his fights, and he doesn't really wrestle as much as I'd like to see. But we'll see. We'll see the path he takes here. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight? Borderline striker versus grappler, but Ramius can definitely strike in his own right. I just think he has a big grappling advantage here.
Yeah, like what people know Ramius for is that highlight reel spinning hook kick knockout that he got on the regional scene as an amateur. And that was like a highlight reel, beautiful knockout. So he's got that, he's got that flashy striking. He's got power. And he's also got a very tricky Brazilian jiu-jitsu game, whether he's on top or from his guard. He's also got some armbar submissions as well. So Ramius is pretty dangerous everywhere. But we know that Gaston is a guy who made that transition from Muay Thai to MMA. So when he first got into MMA, he was kind of getting submitted, but we even saw in the Aaron Phillips fight that he can get back up when you take him down. He can hang around. He's the takedown defense and the grappling game is a work in progress, and it's getting a little better each fight. But if this fight stays standing, I think he's going to look pretty good against Cortavius. He's 3 inches taller. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage, and he's a very talented striker. So it's going to be about Gaston being able to keep this fight standing. And if Cortavius does take him down, he's going to have to be able to get back up without giving up a dominant position to Cortavius. So both of these guys have a similar amount of pro experience. And it is Bolanos, who's kind of coming from a striking background. He's a striking base guy. While a guy like Cortavius has really kind of got an MMA base. He wrestled in high school. He's got Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he's got some flashy striking as well. So I think it's going to be a really fun fight. This is great matchmaking because Bolanos is in all action fights, and Romius does the same thing as well. And I think that there's a little bit of recency bias here. Negative recency bias on the Gaston Bolanos side because he lost so convincingly to Marcus McGee, but it's beginning to look like Marcus McGee is the real deal. And that loss might age pretty well here while we've seen Romius go out there against a good striker in Ramon Tavares and get knocked out quickly. Now, that was a very short notice fight for him, and he's at a new camp now, and I think we're seeing a lot of improvements behind the scenes on the Cortavius Romius side because of the camp switch. And I think he feels like he's in a much better place with the camp that he's in right now. So this is an interesting fight. I could see it going either way, but I think, if Bolanos is able to keep this standing, his money line is going to probably look pretty attractive at plus money.
Yep, if he keeps it standing, for sure, absolutely. No, I agree with this. Contavious Ramius was a wide receiver on the West All-Stars on Key and Peele. That I love Key and Peele, man. That episode was hilarious. And so true. So Ramius opened up, believe it or not, minus 550, and he was sitting around minus 160 for a while. His line, it just recently got smashed to minus 205. And then as far as Bolanos opened up plus 400, was sitting around plus 140 for a while, and he's currently sitting as a plus 175 underdog. As far as the over-under, the under 2.5 actually opened up at minus 115, which I think is kind of crazy, and now is minus 205. So looks like money coming in on the Ramius money line and on the under. I would like violence here. I think Ramius is super live for a submission if he gets it there. And then on the feet, both these guys have knockout power. And this, what do you call it, Weezy? This fight's probably going to be a Donnybrook, a ding-dong Donnybrook.
Oh, yeah, I think it really is. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Bolanos he swings, dude. He looks to take your head off. And a guy like Romius he's so athletic and explosive. Yeah, this one's going to be a Donnybrook for sure.
Yeah, that would be my only concern about Romius is he might oblige. He might oblige with a dick swinging contest. They might go out there and measure dicks. And I think it might come down to who has the bigger dick. But the path is there to wrestle. We'll see if he can go out there and get some takedowns. All right, let's move on to the next fight. It is Melissa Mullins going against Claudia Sygula. We got Mullins, who is 33 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. Sygula, 25 years old, 5'8". We have Sygula, who's 8 years younger with a 1-inch height advantage. Melissa Mullins, she has 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Decision win against Irina Alexeyeva, and then a knockout loss against Nora Cornhole, her last fight. As far as Sygula, she is making her debut here. So I was checking the odds, and I was like, holy crap, Melissa Dixon is minus 250 after looking so bad in her last fight. And then I go and watch the tape on Sygula, and I'm like, oh, that's why. She has no takedown defense. She's been submitted a million times between pro and amateur. So, yeah, in theory, Mullins should be able to get this fight down to the mat and have a ton of success. I like the striking of Sygula for sure. Mullins is very hittable on the feet. She blocks punches with her face. But if she can get the fight down to the mat, I think she has a pretty big advantage there. Sygula, she's content to kind of play off bottom. She can be put in dominant positions. I think she's been subbed once as a pro and then just a couple times as an amateur as well. So, yeah, I like Mullins or Dixon, but I don't like it at like minus 250. It's just kind of gross. But I kind of like the under. I feel like the under is live here at plus 200. But outside of that, I don't have a ton of interest in this fight. Weezy, what are your thoughts on Mullins versus Sygula?
Yeah, I didn't really get to see much of, or I didn't get to see any of Sygula. I mean, I know who Melissa Dixon is at this point, and or she's Mullins now. And Yeah, she's solid. She's a good grappler. She had a really fun fight on the regional scene against Daria Železniakova, where she was getting killed early in the fight, and then she wound up getting on top and pounding her out. And she's got some. Yeah, I know. Dad, I love using terms like that because they got the double meaning. But yeah, she pounded her out and got a win over the very handsome Irina Alexeva, and then lost to Cornhole. Dude, I was looking through Claudia Sigulia's record on Tapology. Dude, it's hilarious. Like these girls, Soia Maxim 0-0, Daria Regil was 3-1-1, and then she fights Zoya Litvinenko, who might have one of the funniest Tapology pictures I've ever seen. Zoya is 0-3. Brady, you got to check out the Tapology picture.
What is the name again?
Zoya Litvinenko.
Zoya Litvinenko.
Yeah, and she's on Sigulia's opponent list.
I got it. There's an ad though. Oh my gosh, what? What is that? What is that?
These are the girls that Claudia Sigulia is fighting. You got to put
what?
Like that's your picture. That's somebody's daughter at a high school. She's got to. I mean, like that's your MMA picture. You can't put the backpack down.
She's in like a gym class. It looks like. I don't know what's.
Yeah, she's in a gym class, and like she's 12 years old, and she's got her backpack. She's like, "Hey, I'm fighting Claudia Sigulia, and then after that, I've got history class."
Oh,
these are the girls that Claudia Sigulia is fighting. I don't know. Like, what is she doing here?
They won't even tell her age because she's probably like so young. She looks like 12 there.
Yeah, that's the girl.
Oh my gosh,
that's one of her wins. And I mean, like all the other girls, I don't know who these people are. I've seen Yulia Konsenko. She's fought a few UFC veterans, but like, yeah, I don't know what to think of this girl.
What is that?
One. Yeah, she's 2-6. The Pantera, Solia Maxim.
She's kind of hot.
Yeah, she's got a nice watch too. Oh. I heard it's a digital watch.
You don't see watches like that. I mean, I guess only in Poland you see watches like that.
She got it free with the purchase of a Scorpion CD.
Jeez.
So
she has a nice tattoo, by the way.
Yeah, she does. I agree. But yeah, I mean, like, dude, I think Melissa's gonna take this girl, body her, throw her down, and just pound her out on the mat. Brady, good style.
Yeah, it's like you see a couple of submission losses as an amateur. Submission law. Her only loss comes by submission. Yeah, you would think.
And I'm pretty sure that Mullins was supposed to have another opponent. She was supposed to be fighting someone else. So this Sygula is stepping in on short notice. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that would make sense, man. I saw like Melissa Mullins as a big favorite. I was like, what the heck? And I was like, yep, makes sense. But still, I don't want to lay minus 250 on her though. But I do kind of like the under.
Yeah.
Dana, can she fight? Matchmaker, I don't know. Dana, is she hot? Yeah.
I think John Q nailed how she got here. Yes.
Yep. For sure.
Not good.
I don't care who she fought. Melissa is one of the worst I've seen, and she has downs. What? No, she doesn't.
She does not.
She does not.
And by the way, Melissa's the one that gave us the term ding dong.
Did she?
She did. She said she was down for a bit of a ding dong before the Alexeva fight, and I'm like, I don't think Alexeva is. When you look at that haircut, I don't think she's down for a ding dong. But either way, I don't know about this one, man. I'm thinking Mullins probably mauls her.
We need to get a petition going to get Irina Alexeva back in the UFC. I think she got suspended for some type of PEDs.
Yes, she did. She was a steroid user. And I mean, you don't get hair that handsome without some kind of unfair supplementation.
I'll never forget her hair. It was
that hair.
Let's see if I can bring it up.
Yeah, that wind tunnel. Yeah, look at that. And then the dancing too. Like
look at that kick. Spinning elbow. She is so handsome. I don't care. Look at
Yeah.
You don't see moves like that
She
anymore.
needs to be back in the UFC, man. It's got.
She can move, man.
I know she can.
Bow at the end.
Yeah, yeah. And then
I
the
It's crazy. I have so much weird stuff saved on my phone. Like I have like a ton of Romanov stuff. There's doing a band workout. Like I have so much over the years. It just piles up. Remember this? My choice.
yeah,
My choice.
I was thinking about that the other day.
My choice. This is a classic. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I love the just that was such a great one.
Oh, and by the way, that one jerk that always tags me in the Andrade pictures. Last week he tags me and says, "I heard what you said on Stat Diggers. Here you go." And it's a picture of Andrade naked.
He did the same thing to me, and I just responded to him, blocked and reported. And he goes, "Wheezy, no, I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, I'm just kidding, but please don't do that. That was horrible."
Just terrible. Just absolutely terrible. I have Molly McCann when she was on coke.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, so much good stuff. I got to start posting some of this.
That's why you got all those thousands of followers on social media, Brady. It's beauties like that. Is that more arena? Yeah, it is.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh,
awesome.
She's so handsome.
Yeah, she is.
She's scary. She just pulled out a blade though, and it kind of turned me on. Yeah. So, yeah, the under at plus 200 is not bad. I don't think
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Yes,
plus 200. At least we're not playing minus 200 like I did in the Malott fight.
It was the first leg of my greasy four-legger. It fell flat immediately.
Proper Mike Malott. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We have Damon Blackshear going against Cody Stamann. We got Blackshear, 30 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. Stamann, 34 years old, 5'6" with a 64-inch reach. Blackshear, 4 years younger. It's going to be 4-inch height advantage and a massive 8-inch reach advantage. Stamann is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Had a submission loss to Seidner Magomedov, a knockout win against poor Eddie Wineland. Decision win against Luan Lacerda. A decision loss to Douglas Silva de Andrade. A decision loss to Taylor Lapilus. As far as Blackshear, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. A decision loss to Farid Basharat. Knockout win against Luan Lacerda. Submission win against Jose Johnson. A decision loss to Mar Batista in a very close fight. And then a knockout loss in the first 60 seconds against Montel Jackson. So I believe we have Damon Blackshear as there's a ton of big favorites on this card. Damon Blackshear is probably like the 4th biggest favorite on the card behind Malik and Proches and Gomes. Yeah, I think it's like the 4th biggest favorite on the entire card. And yeah, I like him here. I think Blackshear is actually really good. I think he's a very underrated striker. He's a BJJ black belt. Good takedown defense, can wrestle in his own right. Just think he's a very solid all-around fighter. Good cardio. I think he has really good durability as well. Good submission game. He's going to have a big height advantage, reach advantage. The younger guys. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to like Blackshear here. Feel like he can probably stuff some takedowns here, maybe get some takedowns in his own right. Stamann's just kind of like whatever. He has fought some really good guys. Stamann, don't get me wrong, but he's now 34 years old at this point. So yeah, I'm taking Blackshear here, but what is it, like minus 300 just about at this point? So yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, give me Blackshear. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, the line's crazy. The line's just crazy. I mean, the guys that Damon Blackshear is beaten here are Luan Lacerda and Jose Johnson. Now, just because he's lost to studs, he had a draw with Zalal where he almost got finished in the 3rd round. That was a great fight. He lost to Farid Basharat, stud. He lost to Mario Bautista, stud. He lost to Montel Jackson, stud. But he's not beating anybody of any, like this. If he were to beat Cody Stamann, it'd be his best win. And Cody's a very good wrestler. Cody can kind of be the guy who decides where the fight takes place. He's a good boxer. he's pushing 35 years old though as a bantamweight, so I see why it's always hard to back the older fighter, but there's definitely some recency bias here because Cody Stamann's most recent losses coming against Douglas Silva de Andrade and Taylor Lapilus, two tough fighters. And Blackshear is coming off a bad KO loss to Montel Jackson less than 4 months ago. So, he could get clipped with something here potentially. I mean, Stamann's never been dropped in the UFC. He's got 2 knockdowns in his own right. And you look at, you compare his wins at the UFC level to the wins that Blackshear has, and he's got the much better wins. So, I think there's some reasons here to like Stamann, but Stamann at this point is not somebody that's like going to blow your doors off in any area of MMA. And Blackshear's younger, taller. He's got an 8-inch reach advantage. He's a very good grappler. So I think there's a lot of ways for Damon to win this fight, but I also think that there's a lot of ways that this fight could just be really greasy and really close. And maybe a plus 3.5 points handicap on Cody Stamann this week at plus money might be a good look because he can get takedowns. It's not like Damon Blackshear has awesome takedown defense, and Cody Stamann's always had good boxing in his own right. So yeah, I think he can keep this close. He's got the better wins, better level of competition overall.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like it could be closer than the line indicates, unless Blackshear subs him. How many times has Stamann been subbed?
Twice at the UFC level, and Blackshear's 9-0 to the submission as a professional.
Yeah, maybe he can like catch a guillotine or something. But yeah, if it goes to decision, I feel like it could be closer than the line indicates. I mean, minus 300, it is a lot to lay for sure, especially after coming off of a brutal knockout loss, kind of like out of nowhere. Like Blackshear had never been finished prior to then.
Yeah, dude, and Montel Jackson. I mean, that guy is so good.
Oh yeah, he's very good. Let's see, and split could be with these judges, man. With these judges, any fight that goes to decision nowadays, it's like you don't know what to expect. I mean, some of the scorecards last night were just awful, just awful. But yeah, we'll move on to the next fight, and we have Matthew Semelsberger going against Charles Radtke. We got Semelsberger, 31 years old, 6'1" with a 75-inch reach. Charles Radtke, 34 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. Semelsberger, 3 years younger, 3-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. Semelsberger is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Lost to Alex Moreno by decision. Decision win against Jake Matthews. Decision loss to Jeremiah Wells. Knockout loss to Eros Medic. And then a decision loss to Preston Parsons. As far as Radtke, he has 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Blood Diamond. Won that fight by decision. Knocked out Gilbert Urbina, and then got knocked out by the guy who's main eventing the card this weekend, Carlos Praches, in the first round. First look, I'm like, I think we may have a live dog on our hands, but after looking into it, I want absolutely nothing to do with this fight. I mean, Matthew Semelsberger, what's up with this guy? I think he's really talented. I think, he can wrestle a little bit, has a ton of power. This guy's like 1 million knockdowns in the UFC, but a lot of those knockdowns aren't translating to knockouts. There's like fights where he's knocking guys down, and then he'll end up getting finished like the Medic fight. I think his fight IQ is just awful. The takedown defense is piss poor. Just having any money on Matthew Semelsberger ever, just kind of, it's like, it sucks. It sucks. I remember betting like the under in the last fight, just making terrible decisions, going out there and grappling with Preston Parsons instead of striking with him. Like, what are you doing, Matthew Semelsberger? What are you doing? The Medic fight was awful. Oh my gosh. I think I had Semelsberger money line there. So it got just so frustrating. Charles Radtke, I think he's going to be a little bit higher volume. I think he has a lot of power in his own right. He's a BJJ black belt. If he wants to wrestle, he'll be able to get takedowns because Semelsberger can't stuff any. So I'm picking Radtke. I would never even think about placing a bet on Semelsberger, but yeah, I don't want anything to do with it. It's a big, giant pass for me. This is how I feel, like you felt about the first fight of the night. This is how I feel. I want nothing to do with these two fighters at all. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, Semelsberger's fought some good competition up here. The combined records of the guys that he's fought in 10 UFC fights, 45 wins and 34 losses. And you look at those last 4 losses, Preston Parsons, that is the worst loss there, but Eros Medic is good. That Jeremiah Wells fight, that one could have went either way. That was a split decision. And Alex Morono is a veteran with over 20 UFC fights, and he got a win over Jake Matthews, which is a good win. And Charles, he went out and he got an easy win over a Blood Diamond. He looked great against Gilbert Urbina, and then he got Carlos Prates in his next fight. And, that kind of went the way you might think it would have went. Got knocked out with a knee to the body. And now here we are against Semi. So Charles is a guy that's he's very dangerous. His left hook is nasty. It's so nasty. And then he's got some really good grappling. A BJJ black belt, underrated ground game, in my opinion. So I could see him knocking out Semelsberger. I could see him getting the takedowns, getting to the back, and finishing him that with a submission. I think there are multiple ways for Charles Radtke to win this fight. He's a Valley Flow striking guy. He is a Chicago guy, and so I root for him, and I like him. I think he's one of these guys that I want to see win because I want to see him play that heel role because he does such a good job of it. And I think the UFC needs more heels, and Charles is one of them. I think that could do a great job at that. And I think a win over a guy like Semelsberger would set him up to play that heel role to perfection. But in order to do that, he's going to have to go out there and get a win and win decisively. And Semi's lost 4 of his last 5 fights. But, I think he's losing the guys, Brady, that would all be favorites over Radtke. So I think we want to be I think we want to be a little bit careful about, do we get Radtke to minus 200 as a favorite here, or even beyond that? That might be a little bit too much. I think he should be a favorite here because we haven't seen we look like Semelsberger came in, he started looking good. He got some easy wins, and then he started climbing that ladder, having competitive fights against these guys. And then now it just seems like, okay, maybe now he's a little bit past it, but he's still young, dude. He's not even 32 years old yet. He's explosive. He's powerful. He's athletic, and he's got 10 UFC knockdowns in 10 UFC fights. So I still think that Semi's a dangerous guy, but I think Radtke might be the guy with a little bit more process to his game, a little bit more well-rounded. So I'm going to go with Radtke here.
Yeah, and Joel bringing up the violence, and we got to be very careful betting violence these days. Very careful. And I would agree with you. I've been screwed so many times on Semelsberger violence just because he knocks guys down and he doesn't finish them. Unless it's Jason Witt or that one bum. I mean, who was that one bum he knocked out?
Didn't he beat Sano? Was he the guy who beat Sano?
Oh, yeah, Sano. Yes. That was terrible. But
he threw one feint and Sano freaked out from the feint. He was like this. and you saw the look on Semi's face. He's like, oh, this is going to be easy. And then it was just boom, right down the middle. Good night, Martin Sano.
I couldn't believe that fight was sanctioned. Like, I think Semelsberger was like minus 800 in that fight. It's bad.
He looked it too.
Oh yeah, all of it. Yeah, this might be. We just want to sit back and watch. Maybe violence, but even then, I don't know if I want to get involved. We'll see. All right, moving on to the next fight. Now this should be violent. We got Meerschaert, Abdul, Malik going against Dusko Todorovic. We got Malik, 27 years old, 6'2" with a 79-inch reach. Todorovic, 30 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. We got Malik, who is 3 years younger, with a 1-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage. Malik, he's 5-0 in his last 5 fights, had a second-round knockout win against Wesley Schultz on the Contender Series. As far as Dusko Todorovic, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss against Gregory Rodriguez, a knockout win against Maki Patolo, a decision or knockout loss to Chidi Njokwani, knockout win against Jordan Wright, and then a knockout loss against Christian Leroy Duncan. So in that Duncan fight, there was an injury, right? Was that the injury?
Yeah.
So we got
injury.
Bad injury, got hurt, and this is going to be the first time we've seen him since. So that is something to mention. Meerschaert Abdul Malik went out there on the Contender Series, and he impressed me. He kind of battled some adversity. It looked like he was maybe going to slow down, but kind of pushed through it and broke Wesley Schultz. This guy has some of the most deadly ground and pound I've ever seen. I mean, when he gets on top of guys, he's pounding their head through the canvas. So I'm watching Dusko Todorovic tape, and I don't know how I forgot about this fight, the Jordan Wright fight. Completely forgot about it. I'm watching the fight, Wheezy, and to my surprise, Jordan Wright takes Dusko down. He takes Dusko down 3 times in the first round. I'm like, what is going on? Even starts to hunt for a submission, Jordan Wright. And he's beating the crap out of him on the mat. Jordan Wright is beating the crap out of Dusko Todorovic. Looks like he's on his way to getting a TKO. I'm like, if Jordan Wright is taking you down and beating the brakes off of you, what is Meerschaert Abdul Malik going to do to you? I mean, I think this is a really bad matchup, especially coming off of a layoff and injury like he did. I think they're trying to get Malik a win here. Malik is one of the biggest favorites on the card. Really good wrestling. I think he has a wrestling background. He has a ton of power on the feet. We know how hittable Dusko is. And Dusko is one of those guys where if you do take him down, he will like roll for a leg. He went for a leg against Jordan Wright. If he does that here, he's getting his just head completely smashed in. So I got to go Malik. My concern, though, is the cardio. I'm not sure if I fully trust him in an extended fight. A lot of his wins do come early. I think all of them do come early. But I'm kind of leaning Malik early knockout here in this one. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, like this is probably one I'm not going to be betting because, Mansour's like this guy is clearly very talented, very strong. He's got a ton of power. And if he gets on top of you, it's problems. But also on the feet, this guy doesn't move his head at all. He is there to be fucking hit.
Dude, Wesley Schultz was piecing him up. It was kind of Wesley Schultz.
Yeah, and we don't know if this guy's got 15-minute cardio either. His entire MMA career has lasted 18 minutes, and that's in 6 fights. So there's a lot of unanswered questions here still on Malik, but the questions that have been answered, are that this guy's extremely dangerous and that if he gets on top of you, it's problems. If he hits you clean on the feet, it's problems. This guy could probably punch holes through brick walls and he could probably take down a Ford Focus, So, the guy is clearly a very, very dangerous individual. And Dusko Todorovic is, he's 30 years old. He's fairly experienced. He's got 7 fights at the UFC level. He's got good head movement, but yeah, coming off a serious knee injury where he completely blew out his knee in the Christian Leroy Duncan fight. So he's been away from the cage for over a year and a half. So while there are going to be fighters that I'll be looking to maybe fade Malik against down the road somewhere, I don't think this is it. I think Dusko probably, this is, I don't know if I would sign on the dotted line to fight this guy. I don't care how bad I needed money. I don't want anyone locking me in a cage with Mansour Abdul Malik. He knocked the dude out. It was the Alain St. Gelais fight, and he knocked him out with ground and pound. Brady first shot knocks him out. The ref's kind of slow, and you could tell he knew he was out, and he was just like pounding this dude's head. He saw the ref coming, trying to stop it, like screaming, "No, stop! You're gonna kill him." And Mansour got a couple extra in there. Like he hit him 4 more times after the dude was already on another plane. So, this guy's scary.
He is. Yeah, and I saw that. There were a couple of fights where it's like, what is the referee waiting for? Like, there are some nasty follow-up shots in a couple of his fights I saw.
Yeah, and I think, like, the ref's like, I don't want to be too protecting the fighter because this dude could hit me with the last shot. And then there's going to be 2 dead people on this canvas. And I think that's what the refs were like. They were like keeping their arms in, and being like, please stop, but they didn't want to get their head in there and take any of Mansour's ground and pound. I'll tell you that, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's for sure. We got our guy Lusa Soli in the building. Shout out to Lusa Soli, one of the more interesting Twitter follows out there. I haven't really seen much from him lately, though. Is everything all right, Lou? Have you seen much from him?
Yeah. You know our guy Lusa Soli is doing well.
Haven't seen much. Maybe I haven't been on Twitter enough, but yeah, Lusa Soli, incredible follow if you're into like Cox and other stuff. So where were we? So we have Meerschaert Abdul Malik. He opened up minus 350. Is now minus 340. Dusko Todorovic opened up plus 285. He's currently plus 280. It's a wide line. It is a very, very wide line on somebody making his debut who, like you said, has, I think, been over 1.5 once, and it was in his last fight against Wesley Schultz. He did have some sketchy moments in that fight against Wesley Schultz. The over-under set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is plus 104. The under 1.5 is minus 134, but it opened up plus 160. The under opened up plus 160. And it got just completely wrecked. So, yeah, it might be just one where I sit back, but I do lean Malik KO.
Yeah, me too.
All right. And, yeah, he kind of did. It looked like Wes was on his way to maybe breaking Malik, and then all of a sudden, Malik broke Wes. It was a very, very good fight. One of the better fights of the year, I thought. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos going against Nicholas Dalby. We got dos Santos, 37 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. Nicholas Dalby, 39 years old, 5'11" with a 74-inch reach. We got dos Santos 2 years younger, same height. Dalby with a 1-inch reach advantage. Dos Santos is 2-2 and 1 draw his last 5 fights. Decision loss to Muslim Salikov. A decision win against Benoit Saint-Denis. Decision win against Abubakar Nurmagomedov. A draw against Rinat Fakhretdinov. Then a decision loss against Randy Brown. Nicholas Dalby, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Decision win against Claudio Silva. Decision win against Warley Alves. Decision win against Muslim Salikov. Knockout win against Gabriel Bonfim. And then a split decision loss against Rinat Fakhretdinov. I parlayed Rinat Fakhretdinov in that fight. I thought Dalby could have potentially got the nod. I mean, he was just much more active in that fight. Rounds 2 and rounds 3, I thought you could have given to Dalby. So arguably, like, this guy could be on like a nice little win streak here. But yeah, I don't know. I could care less about this fight. I think it's gonna be a good fight, but I could care less about betting on it. This is like the most apex fight ever. I think it's a straight pick'em. It's probably going to look like a straight pick'em. It's probably going to decision. And at that point, it's coming in to the hands of the crooked, corrupt judges. Who are they going to score it for? I'm not sure. Whoever they feel like scoring it for. But yeah, I think a pick'em's about right, because who knows? Who knows? Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I think that this is exactly where it should be, right at a pick'em. I could see either one of these guys winning this fight. They're extremely well matched. They fought before, and it was a banger. It was, I think, both of their UFC debuts. It was so they both came into the UFC. They fought each other, and now here we are. 14 fights later for Zaleski dos Santos, 12 fights after that for Dalby. And yeah, they're back and they're going to do it again. Nick Dalby pushing 40, Elizeu dos Santos pushing 38, and they're both fighting at a really high level. I think you're flipping a coin here, basically. And I think it goes to decision. What's the over here?
Oh, it's got to be like minus 250, minus 300. It is minus. Oh, I'm wrong. Minus 400.
What? God damn it! Bet online. You're too sharp. Yeah, man. That's yeah. I think it's gonna go to decision, and I think that these guys are just gonna it's gonna be like 2 rats in a shoe. I think Dalby's gonna do more though. That's what I think could be the difference here, is the fact that I think Dalby's just going to do more, and he's going to push. And I think I'll go with the Dane by decision. Danes are tough, Brady. They're stoic, tough people, and there's no quit in them.
Yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, should be a close one. Let's see what the crooked blind judges think. Just terrible. Awful. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have Jillian Robertson going against Luana Pinheiro. We got Robertson, 29 years old, 5'5" with a 63-inch reach. Pinheiro, 31 years old, 5'2" with a 62-inch reach. Robertson, 2 years younger, 3-inch height advantage, and a 1-inch reach advantage. Pinheiro is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. DQ win against Rando Marcos, a decision win against Sam Hughes, decision win against Michelle Waterson Gomez, knockout loss to Hebos, and submission loss to Angela Hill. As far as Robertson, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Submission win against Maria Agapova. Submission win against Piera Rodriguez. Decision loss to Tabitha Ricci. Knockout win against Poliana Viana. And then a decision win against Michelle Waterson Gomez. So, Yeah, I think it's a rough matchup for Luana Pinheiro. I think Jillian Robertson at strawweight is absolutely the real deal. I think this is her weight class. She's going to be a lot stronger, a lot bigger down at this weight class. She's going to have the height and reach advantage in this matchup. And she's going against Luana Pinheiro, who has about like 7.5 minutes. Probably one of the worst displays of cardio you'll see out of like a strawweight fighter, to be honest. Like she slows down literally in every single fight that goes past 7.5 minutes, no matter what the pace is. It's really, really bad. So yeah, Pinheiro might be able to maybe win the first round, maybe. She has good judo. She's very physically strong. She has power, but just as the fight goes on, she falls apart. And Jillian Robertson is not going to fall apart. Jillian Robertson has cardio. She can, fight into the later rounds. So I think this has Robertson just breaking Pinheiro written all over it. If you're getting submitted by Angela Hill, something's seriously wrong. She gassed out on that fight too. So yeah, this should be Robertson inside the distance, and this under is just obliterated. It's not too often we'll see a strawweight fight under 2.5 minus 150. Like, is Liang Na fighting? Because that's the only time we really see like an under juice that much in a strawweight fight. But I agree with it. I think this goes under at a pretty high clip. But I would rather take like the fight doesn't go, just because give that extra 2.5 minutes. But yeah, I think Jillian should finish here. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I think Jillian's going to rinse her. I think it's just pretty much that simple. But Pinheiro's got a lot of power on the feet, and she's a black belt in judo. So you're going to have to out wrestle her. You're not going to be able to like clinch up with her and get her down, I don't think, because that's where Luana is going to throw you and put you on bottom. So I think Jillian's just going to need to find a single leg or a double leg entry, get her down to the ground. She's going to have good balance, though, so it's going to be difficult to do that against the judoka of Pinheiro's quality. And, we always know that there's going to be anybody's live to land a big shot on the feet against Jillian. The striking has never been something that's been up to speed here at the UFC level. She's going to have to get takedowns and win those minutes on the ground. But, 36% of Jillian Robertson's 170 minutes in the UFC octagon, only 36% of that has been spent at distance striking range. She always gets her fights into the clinch and on the mat, and that's where she does her best work. And I don't think it's going to be particularly close. And like you said, Brady, even if Pinheiro does keep it close for the first 7 or 8 minutes, she's going to eventually give up the takedown. And then once she gives up the takedown, when she's tired, that's when Jillian's going to advance to the dominant positions. And the ground and pound has been looking really good lately. Yeah. So, yeah, I think she can find a ground and pound KO knockout. I think she can find a submission here. And I think she can also just win the minutes like she did in the Robertson or in the Watterson fight, where she just, I can't believe that fight wasn't stopped, by the way. What an ass whooping that was.
Guess you had the inside the distance there.
Yeah, I know, man. That's for sure.
Thanks, Herzog.
Yeah, that was Herzog. It had to be, because poor Michelle almost, that was her retirement fight. And bad. she looked like she was in anaphylactic shock after that fight. Her face was puffed up. It looked like a balloon. It was horrible to look at. And Jillian beat her ass, So I don't, Pinheiro is going to need to land a bomb early. And you don't really see strawweights getting knockouts, not in the new pillow fist era of the UFC either. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a long day for Luana Pinheiro.
Yeah, her cardio is so bad. You know what I would want to see? Maybe like Liang Na versus Luana Pinheiro in like running like a 5K. Like, who do you think would have the better cardio? Luana Pinheiro or Liang Na?
I think it might be Liang Na, and here's why, Brady.
Okay.
I think Liang Na is completely uncomfortable with the act of fighting. And when you see people that are really uncomfortable with fighting, they are going to go in there and just go balls to the wall, because they're so uncomfortable with it that they just want it over as fast as possible. And those are your kill be killed fighters. I'm going to go balls out, and if this person just won't give up and won't be shown the door, then I'm going to find the door. But I think that Liang Na is one of those people who probably does have good conditioning, but she just adrenaline dumps the second that she starts making the walk to the cage, because she's just not comfortable in there.
Yeah, no, I would like to see it. I love those killer be killed fighter. We need more of those. We need more Jordan Wrights. We need more Malcolm Gordons. We need more Daniel Lacerdas. We need more of these fighters in there.
I agree 100%. That's why Liang Na will be coming back at some point. We've got to bring her back.
Then I'll have to buy another wig. It's like $20.
You were really, really hurt when she lost the last time. That you looked broken.
Yeah, I was. I threw away the wig because
You threw the wig down, you stomped on it, and you just looked crestfallen.
Put it in the trash. Yeah, and I think I still have some pics of me in the wig. Not in a weird way. Not in a weird way. I'm not. I don't do that type of stuff. Let me see if I could.
Not in a weird way.
You know what? Forget about it. We got Cody in the building. What is up, Cody? We got Joel saying this is my easiest bet of the card. Yeah, some money is coming in on Jillian. It looks like we got Jillian Robertson opened up minus 250, currently minus 310. Pinheiro opened up plus 210, currently plus 260. Like I said, the under got obliterated. Oh my gosh! So the under 2.5 opened up plus 160. Jeez, and it was there for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. It went from plus 160 to minus 115, and it's now minus 150. Again, for a strawweight fight. Don't see it too often. Do not see it too often. Let's see what else we got in the chat here. Oh yeah, the 2-3 are going to be awful. They'll probably look a little bit like the Lang Petrovic 2-3 lines. They weren't too great. Let's see here. That is true. Last time Pinheiro fought somebody with red hair, she put on an Oscar-worthy quitting performance and beat Marcos.
So true. People were so mad at her, and you could tell Randa was like, "I'm breaking her. I'm breaking her." You know, she was getting exhausted, and she knew it was over.
Yeah,
so she acted.
It's every fight with Pinheiro. So I'll be looking to see what those 2-3 props are. They make a ton of sense. Maybe 2-3. I'm going to stop talking. I got to stop talking. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. We have Rene de Ritter going against Gerald Meerschaert. We got de Ritter, who is 34 years old, 6'4", with a 70-inch reach or 79-inch reach. We got Gerald Meerschaert, 36 years old, 6'1", with a 77-inch reach. De Ritter, he is going to be 2 years younger. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Meerschaert is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Bruno Silva submission win in the 3rd round. Knockout loss to Joe Pyfer in the 1st round. Decision loss to Andre Petrosky. Submission win against Brian Barberena, and then a submission win against Edmund Shabazian. As far as de Ritter, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Going to be making his debut here. And yeah, this guy's fun, de Ritter. This guy's a finisher, a ton of 1st round finishes. Really good grappler, able to get the fights down to the mat, good ground and pound, really good submission game. I watched a lot of his fights, and a lot of his fights just taking guys down and submitting them very shortly after. This is a very fun matchup because it's like it's probably going to play out on the mat, which is going to be fun because that's kind of Meerschaert's thing. So I think these two are going to grapple a little bit. But I do think de Ritter is going to have a lot of success early. The only thing that concerns me about de Ritter is he does slow down as the fight goes on. And Meerschaert's one of those guys that kind of does the Homer Simpson thing where he'll take a beating early on and then he'll kind of get you 2-3. So yeah, leaning de Ritter early, but if this fight does get extended, Gerald Meerschaert round 2, round 3 is always in play really against anybody. That's just his thing. That's kind of his MO. So I like de Ritter early, but Meerschaert 2-3 will have my attention as well. I think this is a violent fight. I'd be pretty surprised if this did go 15. Yeah, Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight? I'm looking forward to this new de Ritter guy.
I am too. He's 34 years old. He's a phenomenal grappler. 11-0 to the submission. But honestly, there's not much else. If this guy's not winning minutes and moments grappling, he's not very good. The striking is below average, maybe even way below average for UFC level. The heart and conditioning, not great for this guy either. Like I say, if he's not getting takedowns and getting on top of you and doing a bunch of damage, he's not winning. So You give him a guy in Gerald Meerschaert who is just begging to be taken down. This guy is 29-8 to the submission as a professional. 29 submission wins. And at the UFC level, he's 11-1 to the sub. So this guy Meerschaert is only a little bit less than 3 years older than De Ritter. He's faced a much better brand of competition. He's the better striker. He's more experienced overall. He's more experienced at the UFC level. And he's going to get the fight that he wants because he's going to be able to stand and strike for as long as he wants. But as soon as De Ritter comes in, he's going to be able to grapple. He's going to be looking for sweeps. He's going to be looking for his guillotine. And if he wants to pressure De Ritter on the feet and get him to back up, oh, that's absolutely possible. And there's nothing De Ritter is going to be able to do to get his respect on the feet. So while I think that this guy De Ritter, you watch the tape on him outside of the Malikan fights, who looks to be a real problem, that Anatoly Malikan, he's really good. I mean, like, the grappling is phenomenal. But this is Gerald Meerschaert. Most people don't try to take him down. You know, Stoltzfus did it, and Stoltzfus was having like a lot of success until he made one mistake late in the fight, you know, and Gerald's going to be live to win this fight. I don't care what anybody says. He's not washed up yet. Reinier de Ritter's 34 years old in his own right. Lot of nerves, you know, making your UFC debut against a guy with 29 submissions when you are doing your best work, when you're a much better grappler than your opponent. So I think that this is going to be an interesting. It's always Gerald Meerschaert is a guy who is going to cash as an underdog a lot. He does it all the damn time. I mean, he was just an underdog to Shabazian. He was just a massive underdog to Bruno Silva, won that fight. You know, Mahmoud Muradov, remember that one? What was he, plus 350 against Muradov?
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Gerald Meerschaert pulls it out, dude.
Sorry, I was just laughing at this comment. He said, I can't believe GM3 lost to Jay Ellis.
He did.
At least it was prime Jay Ellis. When was prime Jay Ellis a thing? Was
about 16 and a half years ago, back when he was like 4-3 rather than 4-100.
I remember we were telling this guy to get some help like a year ago, and he's still fighting. He's still fighting.
The Hurricane. 110 losses.
It's not bad.
But one of those wins is over GM3.
Yeah, that is very one of the 16 wins out of 126 attempts. It's crazy. We got our guy Dan from Half the Battle in the building saying, "Smash a like, gentlemen." Agreed. Smash a like, guys. Appreciate it. Ritter gasses. He does, and Meerschaert finishes gassers. He's finished plenty of gassers. Fight ends by sub. I don't hate that. There's gonna be plenty of attempts. So yeah, I don't hate that at all.
These guys have only got 40 combined wins by submission. That's a horrible bet. You want at least 45 to 50 combined wins by submission if you're gonna bet that bet. So yeah, no.
Yeah, I guess Tim Troiano's out there beating Jay Ellis. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, poor guy. Poor Jay Ellis, man. Get some help. Like, does this guy have a family? Like, don't you think his family's like, okay, come on, man.
I'm guessing there's no family.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
Friends?
You know?
Maybe some friends, close friends, teammates. Like,
if you have 110 mixed martial arts losses on your record, chances are your parents, like, they may not have been around much, you know, like they may have died very young trying really dumb shit, you know. Yeah, you're not from a family tree that's making plus EV decisions. If you're taking 110 mixed martial arts losses.
Yeah, at least he's not showing quit in him. Doesn't got no quit in him. Well, he has a ton of quit in him. I mean,
he's lost 110 fights.
Yeah, and most of those are in. Let's see how much inside the distance. So he lost 110 times.
This is a guy who needs more quit in him. He needs to quit the sport.
Wow, he's been submitted 76 times or 78, 76, 78. He's been knocked out 29 times. We need to get this guy in like some type of facility. Like this guy, something's wrong with him.
And he's not winning minutes either. He's 0-4 to the decision. It's not like, you know, he was winning the fight up until he made a mistake in round 3 and got Volante choked or whatever. He's losing all the minutes of the fight.
Yeah, it's bad. It's very bad. I gotta have like a Jay Ellis ticker in here somewhere. There it is. Get some help, Jay Ellis. Let's get him some help, man. Let's start like maybe like a GoFundMe or something for this guy. Like something like a petition or something. Let's do something for this guy. I mean, it's getting sad at this point.
Like what are they paying him to show up?
Well, he's clearly throwing the fight. I mean, I've seen like his last couple fights. As soon as the fights start, he falls down face first and gets tapped out. It's actually hilarious. It's terrible acting. Terrible acting. Like at least make it somewhat believable, Mr. Ellis, but I don't know, it's bad. But
really bad.
But yeah, not good. All right. So yeah, the Ritter minus 280. And we have GM3 plus 240. GM3 is pretty much always a dog, I feel like, and always a big dog, I feel like. The over-under set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is minus 205. The under 1.5 is plus 165. I don't think I'd lay minus 205 on an over in a De Ritter fight. How many of his fights have finished in round 1?
I mean, I don't know. A lot of the ones that I watched were early finishes for sure. But
yeah, he has a ton of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Like 13 or 14?
Wow.
Yeah. So I wouldn't touch like the over, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's keep moving on to the next fight. It is Ricky Turcios going against Bernardo Sopai. We got Turcios, 31 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. Sopai, 24 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. Sopai is 7 years younger. It's going to be Turcios with a 3-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage. Turcios is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Brady Heastan, won that fight by a close decision. Lost a decision to Ayman Zahabi. Won a decision against Kevin Natividad, and then lost by submission in the second round against Rob Rosas Jr. as far as Sapai. 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Vinicius Oliveira, lost that fight by 3rd-round knockout. Took the fight on short notice, looked good early, completely death-gassed, and got finished in brutal fashion. And how long ago was that fight? How much time did he take off? Because that was one of the worst knockouts I've seen.
7 months. It's going to be almost 8 months. So, you know, a good amount of time off for a 24-year-old to recover.
Yeah, that was bad. But up until then, man, this guy was looking good. I was watching tape on it before that Oliveira fight, and he's like a really good striker and didn't really see a ton of grappling, to be honest, but he was out there just taking down Oliveira. His ground game looked really good. I was shocked at what I was seeing, and he was honestly close to maybe finishing that fight in the 3rd round if there wasn't a drunk guy reffing, Keith Peterson. But he gassed out trying to go for that finish on short notice, and then Oliveira kind of turned it around and finished him late there. But up until then, he looked really good. He looked like the real deal on a couple days' notice. So, yeah, this money line is getting wrecked, by the way. So Pai on DraftKings, apparently, they opened up Pai as like a plus 160 underdog. I know some people out there got that. Congrats to you. And they took it off like shortly after. On Bet Online, though, they opened up Pai at minus 175, and he's all the way to minus 270 right now. So, yeah, I think this guy is the real deal. I think he beats Turcios, and people are agreeing with it because this money line's moving quickly, and I think it's only available on Bet Online right now, and it's still moving quite a bit. So, yeah, I like Pai here. I'm not sure he finishes Turcios, though. Turcios is durable, good shin, typically good submission defense. He did get subbed by Rob Rosas, but I like Pai here, but this money line is probably going to end up being unbettable by the time it gets out to all other books. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, my thoughts are that was a terrifying knockout that Pai is coming off of. And, you know, that was a bad one because that fight that fight, Sopai, kind of won the first, and then he was winning the second handily. But the last 2 minutes of the round, Sopai he got tired. He fell off of his back, and then Vinicius got back up and then was absolutely destroying him towards the end of the second. And then in the third, it just kind of snowballed down from there. So big time adrenaline dump and conditioning dump by Sopai in his UFC debut on short notice against Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira there. So I've got to go back and watch this guy on the regional scene, because I just watched that fight before he just completely died. I mean, like, he had the short notice and the debut to deal with. So, he looked as good as he could look until there was nothing left in the tank, and then Oliveira took over. But it's a loss that's aging pretty well, because this guy Oliveira looks like a serious problem. And Turcios is a guy that's really not dangerous anywhere. He's got a 33% finish rate in 16 pro fights. He's a volume guy. He's tough, and he's well-rounded, so it's a good test to pass. But the funny thing about this fight is, if this happens again to Sopai, he could get finished by Turcios in the third round here, because Turcios is just throwing volume constantly. And while he doesn't have the kind of power that Oliveira has, if Sopai gasses after 7.5 minutes again, Turcios is going to be live to win this fight. So I think that's something, maybe because Sopai is going to be such a massive favorite, maybe a cheeky round 3 Turcios bet could be worth a very, very small sprinkle because of Sopai. We don't really know if that was just the short notice of the nerves, or if, maybe he is a guy that is a bit of a front runner, because he has finished all 11 of his wins. So I think it's really interesting that he's not really winning decisions. So could be interesting to see if Turcios can stay in the fight early and really put it on him volume-wise late.
Yep. We have we got a total on this one. So the over-under is set at 2.5. The over 2.5 is minus 200. The under 2.5 is plus 160. Yeah, I'm probably gonna stay away, but yeah, I'm real high on Sopai. I think he's the real deal, and I don't think that's a bad loss to have against Oliveira. I think Oliveira is the real deal as well.
Yeah, and I think that if he had taken that fight on a full camp, he probably would have finished that second round very strong and probably wouldn't have gotten knocked out in the third. Sopai, I'm referring to. So we'll see what he has for Turcios here, because the kid clearly looks like a great prospect. Well-rounded, young, powerful, good submission game, opportunistic finisher. Yeah, I think he's the real deal. So Turcios is going to be a good test for him. He's got to prove that the cardio is there.
Yep. And Turcios couldn't KO anyone with the old gloves. He will never KO anyone with these new gloves. Goes the distance is a lock. Well, you got to hit somebody to KO them. What is Turcios' striking accuracy at distance?
29%. It's actually below. It's 28.9%. But I think that was most of that was the Zahabi fight.
Oh, don't get me started on the Zahabi fight.
Yeah, that was a brutal one.
Not great. Not great. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We have Denise Gomes going against Carolina Kowalkiewicz. We got Gomes, 24 years old, 5'2" with a 63-inch reach. Kowalkiewicz, 39 years old, 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. Gomes is going to be 15 years younger. She's going to have a 1-inch height disadvantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Kowalkiewicz 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Submission win against Felice Herrig. Decision win against Silvana Gomez Juarez. Decision win against Vanessa Demopoulos. Decision win against Diana Belbita. And a decision loss against Luana Lucindo. As far as Gomes, she is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. A decision loss to the very handsome Loma Lukbunmi. A knockout win against Bruna Brazil. A knockout win against Yasmin Haregi. Decision loss against Angela Hill. And then a decision win against Eduardo Mara. I'll never forget that Haregi fight, man. I was in attendance for that fight with my brother and my friend. and she was like minus 600, and I was like, dude, watch this chick already. She's so good. She's so good. Hyping her up. She's so good, man. I think she's the real deal. And she gets starched in 60 seconds, and they're looking at me like I'm an idiot, which sometimes I am, but that was bad. Like, Gomes has power, man. She knocked out Bruna Brazil as well. I think that Bruna Brazil win is going to age extremely good. Bruna Brazil is training at Fighting Nerds now, and she looked incredible against Molly McCann. I think that Bruna Brazil win is going to age very good there. And then a good win against Eduardo Mara. Like, that's not an easy fight by any means against Mara. Mara is huge. She's strong. She's dangerous. So that's a good win as well. I feel like Gomes wins this fight. I mean, it's not a hot take. She's the second biggest favorite on the card. She's minus 450 at this point. So, I think Gomes should win this fight, but we're having to pay a very, very, very steep price tag on it. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, you're with Gomes, you're getting the fighter that's 14 years younger. And this is something that I've just been it's hard sometimes. You got to learn that same lesson over and over and over again, where you're like, boy, I think Kowalkiewicz can win this fight, but she's 39 and Gomes is 24. So if Gomes, if this is a close fight, Gomes is getting the decision. She's the future of the division. Kowalkiewicz is somebody that they're using to see if some of these young prospects can pass tests, like Yasmin Lucindo just passed the Kowalkiewicz test the last time out. And we've already seen Denise have some really good performances. Eduardo Mora is tough. And, you're fighting a flyweight when you're fighting Eduardo Mora. I mean, she's a strawweight who has never made strawweight. Like she's always like weighing in at 120, for strawweight fights. So really good split decision win there over Mora. She lost to Angela Hill, but Angela Hill has been in fine fettle lately. She's been really fighting well and doing good work against top-notch opponents in the division. And then the wins against Jauregui and Brazil, very good wins. Kowalkiewicz is going to stay in your face. She's very durable. She's going to stay in your face and try to out-volume you and hit you harder than you hit her. The problem is that style won't work well against Denise Gomes, because Denise also throws a lot of a lot of offense, but she has real power for the division. And that's the difference in this fight, is that Denise can absolutely put your lights out, and Karolina Kowalkiewicz has 17 fights and 0 knockdowns. So what's going to happen here? I mean, like, that's why this line is so wide. It's just so wide because of that, because there's a giant power differential in this fight, and that you really can't count on Karolina to wrestle offensively here. So she's not going to really win minutes doing that. So she's going to have to outpoint Denise Gomes and not absorb big shots in any of the 3 rounds. And that's her path to victory. So she kind of has to fight a perfect fight. But Denise Gomes is not unbeatable by any stretch of the imagination. She's got 48% distance striking defense. She's extremely hittable. But the problem is that I don't think she cares if she gets hit, because she's trying to land one. She's trying to trade one with you because she knows she hits harder than you. So, I mean, I think she's going to get the job done here. And even if I really thought Karolina had a path to victory here, I mean, I don't want to bet on a 39-year-old fighting a 25-year-old. I just don't.
Yeah, I get you. It's one of those fights where the line's clearly very, very wide. Cody, not a big fan of Gomes. Gomes' cheeks says she's ass. Well, I'm a fan of ass, so like maybe I should be a fan of Gomes. But forgot about Mara. She looked good there, but started slow. Yeah, and then she didn't look great in the Hill fight. She got tired in that fight. Ooh, we got the Parlay MMA. Shout out to Parlay MMA, killing it on Instagram. Says KK has one of the craziest records to look at. 5 losses in a row, followed by 4 wins in a row. That's and those 5 losses were against good fighters, for the most part. I mean, the Penne sub I don't like, but other than that, really good fighters.
Terrible.
Oh, it was. Thoughts on the time props? It's a tricky one because I do lean decision, as do the odds makers heavily. The over 2.5 is minus 355. The under 2.5 is plus 280. But Gomes does have power. How many times has Karolina been knocked out? Not many, right?
Oh, not many. No, she's been knocked out once in 24 fights. So she's definitely known for being extremely durable. and this is the pillow fist era of the UFC. But Denise Gomes hits like a dude.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like Brazilian lesbians with throat tattoos, Brady, you don't bet against them.
Yeah,
they hit different. They fight different. They got heart. They can overcome. And guess what? She has tattooed on her throat. Overcome. So, I mean, like it even works.
Yeah. No,
it's germane to the conversation, It's a tattoo that has meaning every time she steps into the cage. She's trying to overcome your shots with her right hand. And if she lands it, you're in serious trouble.
Yep. She does hit very, very hard. And she does have really good neck tattoos. Probably some of the best in the UFC, right?
It's right up there with Yasmin Lucindo. I remember Thiago, what was his name? Way back in the day, this real scary Brazilian dude. Not to do with the sledgehammer. There was another Thiago back in the day, way back in the day, that had a sweet throat tattoo that I really liked. Very scary individual. Can't remember his name now, though.
Yeah, I could see myself getting one of those potentially.
I don't have any tattoos, but I think if the first one would either be a face or a throat tattoo.
Yeah, I was thinking face or throat as well. Yeah. Who would win in a fight? Jay Ellis or Zoya Livinenko?
Does Zoya get to bring the backpack into the cage with her? I think that's the question.
Well, her
because then she could swing that thing.
Her school bus is going to drop her off to the fight after school. I think she might give Jay Ellis some problems on the mat, man. That's good. That backpack, she can use it to choke him out.
Zoya's gonna when Zoya turns 15, I think she's gonna be that's when she's gonna start to put some wins together.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she might.
Thiago Silva. Thank you, Levy. Thank you, Dan. I could not remember his name.
Thiago Silva. There we go.
Should have just guessed Silva. I mean, I would have had like a 25% chance of being right.
Oh, Zaya already sub Jay when she was in the Oh, Jay Ellis, no chance. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning Zaya. Maybe get a good line on her. We'll see. All right. So yeah, Denise Gomes, second biggest favorite on the card. Moving on to the next fight, we got Cody Garbrandt going against Miles Johns. We got Garbrandt, 33 years old, 5'8" with a 65-inch reach. Miles Johns, 30 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. Johns, 3 years younger. It's gonna be Garbrandt with a 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Cody Garbrandt, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss to Rob Font. Knockout loss to Kai Kara France. Decision win against Trevin Jones. Knockout win against Brian Kelleher. And a submission loss to Davison Figueiredo. As far as Miles Johns, 3-1 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Submission loss against John Castaneda. A decision win against Vince Morales. No contest against Dan Argueta. A decision win against Cody Gibson. And then a decision win against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Oh, yeah, I don't know what to do with this one. It's a closely lined fight. Garbrandt, the thing with him is, like, can he take a shot? Can he not take a shot? So, I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this one, Weez? This one I'm kind of struggling with a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is Miles Johns all day, man. I think Cody Garbrandt is done for. He's too many weight cuts, too much damage. Dude, yeah. Look, Davison Figueiredo is a phenomenal fighter. If you're getting taken down by him and submitted, I'm sorry, dude. That's horrible. At 135, you're supposed to be a wrestler, and Figueiredo's taking you down and getting your back and finishing the fight. He's not there anymore. I mean, look at the last 2 wins. Who gives a shit? Brian Kelleher goes out there and he shaves a dude with a skullet who just came off of neck surgery, and then before that it's a dude from Guam in Trevin 5-Star Jones. Those are the wins, and the fights outside of that, he's not looking good. He's bad. He's bad. And Miles Johns is getting better. He just keeps getting better. He's always been extremely defensively responsible. He's very, very hard to land big shots on. And then he can stop takedowns. He's got excellent takedown defense. He can find a takedown of his own every once in a while. I think he's going to be a lot more ready to take a shot here. I think he's going to be more accurate on the feet. Yeah, I don't have any faith in Cody Garbrandt. Dude, I bet the over in that Davison-Figueiredo fight, and I think about a minute into it, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Cody's getting taken down by this guy? And he's not even he had nothing off of his back. Pathetic performance, absolutely pathetic. And I think Miles Johns, now that he's at Marathon MMA, working with Trey Ogden, great game planning there, great supplements there. They're getting a lot of sunshine. They're saying their prayers. They're taking their vitamins. And Miles Johns has been looking phenomenal lately. Guy's on a 4-fight win streak. The Argueta win was he tested positive for his ADHD medication. I mean, that was a clean win. Morales, Argueta, Cody Gibson, who looked phenomenal yesterday. Douglas Silva de Andrade is a good veteran that I think probably knocks out Cody Garbrandt right now. So, yeah, I'm going with Miles Johns here, man. I think he's going to win this fight easily.
Miles Johns minus 140. Cody Garbrandt is plus 120. So the total is kind of interesting. The over under stood at 2.5. The over 2.5 is minus 140. The under 2.5 is plus 110.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, even Cody Garbrandt, who's completely past it at this point, I'm still not betting an under. You know, I'm not counting on an under because it's not like Miles Johns is this lights out finisher. He's not. He's a great minute winner though. So that might be a good over spot actually to play, just because you don't see overs placed fairly anymore. And if you're going to planning on betting an over, you better bet it early in the week because it's going to be juiced to the tits by Saturday.
No, I agree with Dixon here. Miles Johns was blowing lines with Juan Camilo Ronderos.
Somebody on Twitter came out and said, yeah, the reason Miles Johns, the fight was in no contest, he tested positive for cocaine. And Miles Johns responded to him on Twitter like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like, it wasn't cocaine, you know, like, I didn't test positive. He had to, like, go out there and be like, hey, it wasn't cocaine. I don't know who this person is who tweeted this shit, but everybody believed him. They're like, oh my God, Miles was hanging out with Juan Camilo doing the cocaine, but no, he wasn't, dude. It was he's got ADHD. It was the same shit that happened to Mayra Bueno Silva in the Holly Holm fight. She got the fight taken away, turned into a no contest. It was a fight that she won, and she wasn't cheating.
Yep. Apex 100 monumental event. Congrats on the 100. Yeah, I mean, what was the first Apex event ever? I would like to.
Dude, it might have been like right. Remember when those Jacksonville cards happened? Right when the pandemic was like March of 2020. Right?
Oh, I found it. Oh, it was Woodley versus Burns. UFC Vegas 1. Woodley versus Burns.
What was the date? It was like mid 2020.
May 30th, 2020.
Yep, because they had those there were 3 Jacksonville cards that they did. And then after that, they were like, well, let's bring it to Vegas. We'll test everybody there and we'll keep it in the one building in the Apex. And yeah, Dana White really kind of saved sports fans from not having anything to watch during the pandemic for a while there. And that was a huge move for the UFC.
Yeah. Time flies. It feels like yesterday, that Woodley Burns fight.
Yeah, Woodley Burns. Wow.
And then after that, it was Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer, because that was fair.
Yeah, Felicia won that one pretty cleanly, right?
Yeah, 50-44, I think. Maybe she had a couple 10-8s in there across the board.
Oh, that's a tough fight for Felicia. Yikes.
Yeah. Oh, that was the same card Sean O'Malley knocked out Eddie Wineland.
Yeah. Sean O'Malley beating the Mustache Mafia.
Wow.
And Eddie Wineland. That was a clean knockout, too.
Poor Eddie Wineland. Get some help. But great mustache, though.
Yes.
Great mustache. All right. Was that the co-main event?
Yes, this is the co-main event.
Fair enough.
They're bringing the heat this week.
Fair enough. They're bringing the heat for the 100th Apex card. Heck yeah. All right, time for the main event then. We have Neil Magny going against Carlos Praches. We got Neil Magny, 37 years old, 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. Proches, 31 years old, 6'1" with a 78-inch reach. We got Proches, 6 years younger. Magny with a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Magny is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Submission loss to Gilbert Burns. Decision win against Philip Rowe. A decision loss to Ian Gary. A knockout win against proper Mike Malott. And then a knockout loss to Michael Morales. As far as Proches, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Officer Trevin Giles, knocked him out in the second round, and then beat Charles Radtke by first-round knockout, and then knocked out the Leech in the second round. So a lot of hype on Carlos Proches, a lot of hype on these fighting nerds. I think the fighting nerds, Jim, I don't think they've lost yet. I mean, Kaio's on a roll, Proches is on a roll, Hoofy's on a roll. I don't think these fighting nerds have even lost a fight yet. Can you think of a fighting nerd that's lost yet? Gene Silva?
Bruno Brazil lost a couple of fights while she was at the camp, but I mean, like, Gene Silva's undefeated at the UFC level. Hoofy undefeated at the UFC level. Bahayo undefeated at the UFC level. Pratesh undefeated at the UFC level. These guys are on fire.
They're on fire. They are on fire. So a lot of hype on them. And we got Proches as a minus 700 favorite now, the biggest favorite on the entire card. Neil Magny is plus 500. Yeah, Proches is a guy. I mean, yeah, this is a guy you kind of want to get behind. He smokes cigarettes after fights. I think that's pretty cool. Went viral for smoking a cig after a fight. And yeah, I got to go Proches here, minus 700. What can you do? The under got smashed already. The under opened up plus 110. He's now minus 205. It's a very, very wide line, but I'm not stepping in front of any of these fighting nerds anytime soon, I don't think. But yeah, Weezy, what are your thoughts on this main event?
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I mean, like, dude, the funny thing about Proches is, like, this line is a joke just because he's low volume. He doesn't grapple at all. He's a low volume moment winner. And if he doesn't win a moment, he's going to lose the fight. Brady, he got out-volumed by Trevin Giles. Officer Trevin Giles looked like Victor Hendry out there against this guy. I mean, like, but you know, the thing about Proches is, I mean, he's just so accurate. And his straight left hand is like, it's what dreams are made of. Like, striking coaches, they see that and they're like, oh, man. He keeps people on the end of his punches. He's got these beautiful head kicks with the rear leg when it's the left leg when he's in the southpaw stance. And that straight left comes right down the pipe. It's accurate. It's powerful. It's fast. And so he can just lose until he finds that moment. That's exactly what he did in the Giles fight. He found the knee against Radtke late in the first round of their fight. And then he just beat 7 shades of shit out of poor Lee Jingling. My God. Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to see Lee back in the UFC after that beating, because he had to take 2 years off. But like that kind of KO, that kind of beating that he took, Lee had never even been knocked out before, Brady. Yeah. He knocked him into the middle of next year. I mean, I don't think we're going to see this guy ever again. So, I mean, like, now Neil Magny's the guy that the UFC calls when they're like, Christ, who's going to pick this call up? Who's going to fight this fucking kid? You know, Gilbert Burns needs a fight. Who's going to fight him? Ian Gary needs a fight. Who's going to fight him? You know, Michael Morales needs a fight. Who's going to fight him? I mean, Neil Magny's lost 11 times at the UFC level. The records of those guys at the UFC level, 118 and 62. This guy's been through it all. 33 UFC fights, 22 wins. And if Neil's smart, if he's still smart after absorbing however many significant strikes he's absorbed at the UFC level, he's going to be hugging Carlos Proches like my grandma would hug me every time I walked into her house when I was young, you know, like, and just never let go, because you do not want to be anywhere near distance striking range with this man. Neil Magny has pillow fists. He's got 2 knockdowns in 33 fights. You know, I mean, I think he's got 1 more knockdown than Michael Chiesa has. and he's been knocked down 9 times. So I think that Neil Magny can win minutes. I really do. I think he can win. I think he can hug this guy. I think he can clinch up with him. I think he can wear on him. There's definitely a path for Neil Magny to win this fight, and it's him just staying in Protest's face, closing that distance, being in that clinch, and just beating him up and wearing on him there. He could win like that. Am I going to be betting on him? The 6-year-older guy with no power who could maybe win a split decision? I mean, probably not, dude. But Protest is probably going to get another highlight reel knockout here. But Magny only spends 47% of his UFC cage time at distance striking range. And if he's smart, he's going to spend even less than that percentage at distance striking range in this fight with Protest. And if he does that, I think people who are laying minus 700 on Protest and having him as the last leg of their parlay are going to have tightly puckered buttholes. But this fight is 5 rounds, Brady. So the question is, how long does Neil Magny have to survive before Protest, who's not known for like his cardio? Most guys who smoke with cigarettes aren't, so how long does Neil Magny have to avoid that sniper-like shot from Carlos Protest to turn this thing around and potentially win this fight? And I mean, who knows, man? It could happen. I mean, but I told Brady, I called him today. I'm like, dude, if I start saying that I think I'm finding, value in Magny, just please tell me don't do it. Because I think I know how this fight's going to end. And it's going to be with Neil looking up at the lights, wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah. Probably just gonna pass on it. The under's unbettable. It's minus 205 now. To the under 2.5.
Wow, minus 205?
Yeah, it got obliterated. It was plus 110.
Wow.
People are betting violence.
Yeah, dude, I'll take over bets these days, man. I'll take my chances on them. When I see Mike Malott going 15 minutes and nobody getting hurt.
Proper Mike Malott.
Proper Mike Malott. Yeah, well, he properly fucked up my greasy 4-leg parlay. And if he hadn't, it would have been 2 other people that fucked it up.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But yeah, man, I mean, like Neil can, this is going to be a good test for Protest to pass, and I think he passes it. But Neil can make this a very boring fight, and if he does that, he could actually look a lot better than plus 500.
Yeah, we'll see, man. All right, we did it. 13 fights on the board. We got to shout out our guy. That's the wrong one.
Jay Ellis, our guy. 110 losses.
Avery Marino. He wanted us to do, so last week we did the Stat Diggers parlay, right?
Yes.
We had Brandon Moreno, Cody Gibson. Is that the best parlay of all time, do you think? Do you think that was
it's one of them. It's like definitely one of them. There's parlays that have made more money, right? But there are definitely, that one was like, we wanted to just talk about your guys looking minus 1,000 a piece. That one looked beautiful.
So let's do another one. Let's try to get it to plus money. This week's kind of tough because there's a ton of really wide lines, but we'll try to do like our most confident pick. I have 2 in mind. So if you want to go,
I'll go first, and I'm going to give you a line that's going to fatten this thing up a little bit, and it's going to be Miles Johns at minus 140 here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with Miles Johns. So then that way you could take something a little bit more likely to cash, and we'll be plus money for our guy Avery here.
Yeah, are you fine with Jillian Robertson?
Yeah, dude, I think she's going to smoke her.
All right, so the Stat Diggers parlay of the week is Jillian Robertson and Miles Johns. The Miles Johns line certainly does fatten it up. And there's our guy, Avery Marino, saying, what are we thinking for the Stat Diggers Shiesty 2-legger sponsored by Nephew Avery? And that's what we're going with. We're going with Miles Johns money line parlayed with Jillian Robertson. Comes out to plus money. Avery is awesome, man. Appreciate you a ton, man.
Jillian Robertson, Miles Johns on Bet Online right now coming out to plus 127.
Okay. There we go. All All right. So yeah, with all that out of the way, Weezy, any final thoughts on the card, final comments, and also let the people know what you got going on for some content for UFC Vegas 100. Very special card here.
It is, and after this show, I think I'm going to start really digging into the career of one Zoya Litvenko. I think this is one of the. This is sometimes this is where you turn things around. She started off 0-3. She just turned 13. She's ready to start putting her winning streak together. She got an early start in the sport. So we're going to do a spotlight on Zoya Litvinenko, and what's in the backpack will be the first episode of that. What do you think is in Zoya's backpack? And we can have fun talking about that. I will be doing my content for my Patreon and Dub Club members on Wednesday afternoon, Balls Deep Breakdowns, Wednesday evening, Probability, and then on Friday afternoon, after the weigh-ins, I'll go live to do just the tip and finish up with a greasy 4-leg parlay for you guys. Looking to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 100. I hope it's a 100 card for both of us. 100% right picks, 100% winning, 100% whooping the bookies' ass this week. Got to get it back after a rough week last week. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I might get to a Miles Johns bet here, but a lot more research still to be done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, for sure, bouncing back. Brady, was the tweet about smashing your TV a joke or for real? It was a joke, but a lot of people thought it was real.
Yeah, there were people that were concerned.
It's believable. It is a believable tweet, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, you put that out right after the Barrio fight, so because he DM'd me the tweet, and I was like, but then he didn't say whether he had actually done it or not. I'm like, oh, please tell me you didn't do that. And then he just didn't answer me. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I think Brady might be fucking burning out, like.
That is something I would do, though. But it didn't happen. It is something I would do, though, for sure.
Yeah, so Jillian and Miles to the bank this week for plus 127 for our guy Avery, the sponsor of the show, man. Truly appreciate you, Avery. Appreciate your generosity, bro.
Let's hit another one for our guy there. So yeah, for me, full card breakdown video will be out on Tuesday. And then I'm going to be going live Friday for final thoughts and then Saturday for best bet. And that's about all I got. So yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC Vegas 100. Should be a fun card. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.